and he rescues and liberates them in the end. He takes them all the way to himself. That's what we were saying.
I think if we look at it more in an abstract way, isn't it the Home, one of the vices, Home, that is being killed? Because Margaret had that Home.
Was full of Home.
He was full of Home, that he was the ruler and that Prahlad should follow him and not have faith in some God. And I think that it is put together like that to make it like a Saki, but I think otherwise maybe the gist of it is that Home was being destroyed in that.
That's certainly a message in that, but of course these all stories have been there in mythology for a long time.
Right.
And maybe some of them are meant to give that kind of a message, but the broader message is that God is going to protect those who pray to Him.
It's to make up in mind some people why Hindu mythology is being used. Just I think last month I heard somebody was talking about, and that was a very beautiful example. They said, like Chandralay Gurdwara is being built. Gurdwara is being built, but to build the Gurdwara, we had to buy the building material from Home Depot and other places, whatever is available, local. But after it's built, it's a Gurdwara. Okay? But you don't want to go bring the, so whatever the material, building material was available at that time, Guru Nanak Dev Ji took that and he provided that here. So you have to go out, buy from Home Depot, whatever is available. You don't want to go create the new sheet rocks and for this Gurdwara and all that. So whatever is available, you go out from the marketplace and you put that in the front.
That's a good point. And he had a very deep spiritual message he had to communicate to people. And he had to communicate in the language that they can understand, otherwise it's no point.
Yeah.
So the language includes your culture. The language includes your background, your images, what you can. That's how you understand things in terms of what you already know. So you have to present it in terms of that. And they're freely used from Hindu mythology as well as from the Muslim side also. It's very unique about Sikh. The nicest thing though is that it's very clear to us that these are examples because of the way it's presented, because it's all written down by the gurus themselves. If you look at the Christians, they are unfortunate that way because Jesus came and presented his message to Jews, right? That there were Jews around him, he was a Jew himself. So he had to use a Jewish language, Jewish mythology. But the Christians end up taking all that and make it a part of in the form of the Old Testament. And they believe in it as being a part of the Bible. Whereas they should be looking at it the same way as we see all these mythology. But they would be very insulted if you tell them it's mythology because it's in the Old Testament. And if you read the New Testament and the Old Testament, they're very contradictory. The New Testament is a lot like our message, the Oneness message. It's about tolerance and love and achieving God and His fulfillment. It's very similar in many ways. That also was written much later, not by Jesus himself. But the Old Testament has things that are, God is jealous and He's angry and all kinds of strange things in it. And all these things that they get into, this strong thing against homosexuality and various other things. A lot of this stuff comes out of the Old Testament, and they believe it to be the same, so they're a little more confused.
See, like this now, and you can start looking at this. Oh, these walls came from Home Depot and all that. And why do you really get involved with that? Inside, you do that. So from where the mythology came in, rather than concentrating on that, look at what the message, because Guru Nanak, whenever he's talking about those things, then he comes out and presents his message after that also. So sometimes we just get lost into what the mythology is. Another one thing which I want to point out here, in Guru Granth Sahib there are 15 poets. Guru Ram Das Ji in this one used 2 names of it. And there is a very hidden message. In fact, one day I was just saying, why Guru Sahib did that? And he's used Prahlad and Namdev. And there are just 2. We have a lot of respect for our parents. We listen to what the parents say. And very often we say they are like a God to us, because they are. Here, example is given. Even if the parents teach you wrong, If you have to go against your parents, you can do that. And Prahlad's example, he went against his father's wishes. And Namdev, he went against his mother's wishes. Mother, what happened was, Namdev had done a kind of miracle. A dead person was made alive. I'll just very quickly go on that story. There was a dead man was going, and Namdev was a Bhagat, and he's a Hindu Bhagat, and his dead body was going into the for the cremation. And at that time, Sati Pratha was going on. So the lady was dressed as a newlywed, because just a very short time ago they were married, and she was dressed as a bride. And as the body was going to the cremation, so she said that she will go offer ardas to Namdevji. That Namdevji was in meditation, and she went in Matha Teka. He said, when somebody is wearing the bride's costume, he said, Suhavati. So this is what is said, and that's in the Hindu mythology. Guru Granth Sahib is not talking about that. This is what it's about. And what is said in Guru Granth Sahib, I'll come back to that. And then what happened was, at that time the god said, no, since my Bhagat, whatever says, that goes true, and so he became alive. So that everybody in the whole town started saying that Namdev can marry. So all these Bhagats, all the Brahmins, they went against him because he was a low caste guy, and they would not let him inside the mandir. And so the king of that place, he said that if he can revive the old people, he loved a cow, and he said, go come and revive this cow. So that is a Shabad in Guru Granth Sahib. And that is Shabad in Granth Sahib. And that's when he says, Sultan puche sunpe nama, dekho Ram tumhare kama. Sultan says to him, I will see, ye mari hui gau jo hai jaga do. So that is a Guru Granth Sahib Shabad. And at that time, the mother comes in, somebody tells the mother, your son has been arrested, and the king is saying that either you revive this cow, otherwise he's going to kill him in 24 hours. So Namdev's mother comes in, and she is crying, and that's all described in Guru Granth Sahib. That this is a part in Guru Granth Sahib. And Guru Granth Sahib says that the mother comes running, and she says, the king is saying, either you revive this cow or become a Muslim, then I will leave you. So mother says, I heard you so many times, you say, Allah tum, Kareem tum. You talk about Allah also. You start saying Allah instead of saying Ram. He says, when I say Allah, I say because I love that God. But under the force, somebody is telling me to call Allah and become Muslim, I'm not going to do that. For that reason, na tu tera pungda, na tu meri maan. He disowned his mother at that time. And that is in his own Bani. Say that. So Guru Sahib has taken here a message which says, even if your mother and father are giving you wrong advice, and if you have to go against them, and badge, your honor is kept only when, because you know what your clear path is. Your soul is to merge into the super soul, and if your father becomes a stopper, or your mother becomes a stopper, you will continue to move on back, and he saves you back. That I think that's all.
Okay, next shloka by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. This kind of continues with the theme of it's all God's creation, all His hukum. Different things happen in that, good and bad. Ape bhande sajiyan, ape puran de. He himself fashions the parts of the vessels, the containers in which we exist, our bodies, are all created by Him. Ape puran de, and He himself fills them with whatever He wants to fill them with. Good or bad experiences or good or bad qualities all come from Him. Each of us is just like a pot of it. What's put in there is by God's grace. Ikni dudh samaiye, ik chulle rahan chade. Some of them are filled with milk. They are fortunate, good things happen to them. Ik chulle rahan chade. In some parts they start just sitting on the hearth and on the fire, and they are empty. So some of them suffer, have pain and misery, or have negative karma. Ik nahali paisavan, ik uppar rahan khade. Some lie down and sleep on soft beds. एक ऊपर हैं खड़े and some just stand above, guarding them, serving them. So it's all in his hands. Good and bad fortune all comes from him. It's all part of the way of play at some level. Tina Savare Nanka Jino Tinko Nadar Kare. And he blesses and exalts those upon whom he is casting his glance of grace. It's all in his hand. It's all good things will only come from his grace. It's kind of continuing the same theme from the last Shiva also. One more shlok here from Guru Angad Dev Ji. Ape saje kare aap, jai bhi rakhe aap. Again, continue kind of somewhat similar theme. He himself creates and he himself fashions and exalts everything. Jai bhi rakhe aap. Here, jai, it's coming from the word for birth. Paida hona jai. And what he creates, he himself takes care of that, whatever he has created. So jai here refers to creation. Other places it refers to a place. Aapke saje kare aap, jai bhi rakhe aap. This vijjan to pai ke dekhe thap. And in his creation, within that he creates all the different creatures. And he himself watches over them. Thap, creation, destroying birth and death. Isno kahiye nanka sab ke chape aap. And everything is God himself. Who can we talk to? Who can we complain to? Who can we ask for anything? Besides him, there's nobody else who can ask for anything. It's all in his hands. Final body. Vade kiyan vadiyaiyan, kuch कहना चाहे. This is what the last three shloks have been saying. This is all God's glory. He is the great one. He is the Vada. Vade kiyan vadiyaiyan, all the vadiyaiyan, all the glory is his. Nothing else that we can say. So karta ka dar kareem, je diyan rijak sabahe. He is the creator. And he is the benevolent one. Kareem, karam is mercy. Or Vichaar one. They jiyan rijak sabahe. So jiyan being the living ones. So all the beings, he gives them what they need. He gives their needs and nourishment is all provided by him. Sai kar kamavni jo choti tanne paaye. And that is everything that we do, every action that anybody does, kar kamana and all the actions that you do, jo choti tanne paaye, which is all put in there by God himself from his original source. Dhur is the ultimate source, which is God. And he has put this into your destiny. Whatever he puts into your karma, that is what you're going to do. Nanak eki bahari aur duji nahi jai. Here jai, last time jai meant birth, here jai means a place. Other than the one Lord himself, there is no other place that we can go, another place of shelter. So kare jo tise jai. Everything he does is what is in his will. So this is kind of the ultimate perception or concept, ultimate level of consciousness when one sees that everything is by God. Now, at some level, we do things ourselves. We have our will, we have our karam. There's good and bad actions. There is all that, but it's all under this one umbrella. Ultimately, it's all in God's hand. It's all part of His plan. So come. That last word "should." This is an editing mark from when Guru Arjan Dev Ji has gone over and checked over Banis and he's put a "should" at the end. Say, okay, this has been checked out. It's okay. So that's still somehow it's continued. It was there in that, so that has become a part of it.
And you have to read it while you read it, right? You have to read.
We do that because you don't want to take any chances on changing things.
Yeah.
Even though we know it's there just for that, but just to make sure that people don't try to get clever and make modifications. And over time, things they put their own ideas in there. So you just read everything exactly the way it is.
That's the first time I've heard this.
You read. It's in many cases. Like sometimes when it comes like.
There are other editing marks of various kinds, but this is just that. So we'll take a very short 5-minute break and then we'll start the second part there. We'll just discuss some questions. So some of you sent me some questions and I've picked 3 or 4 of them. And I'll address them briefly, but I'm really intending for this to be a group effort. So, everybody please give us your opinions also. Together we'll look at the answers to the questions.